I went to boot camp at Kevern, Idaho. When I was in boot camp, I signed up for submarine duty.
So you didn't get that?
I got to go to Millington, Tennessee.
There aren't too many submarines there, are there?
Oh, pretty slim. And from there I went to Millington, Tennessee, and I washed out of the Air Force. They wanted us to be rear gunners in the back seat of a dive bomber. And they come out and told you, your average life in combat of a back seat in a dive bomber is 25 seconds. Even my record ship, I could figure that out. The odds weren't too great. And from there I went down to New Orleans, and I got assigned to a destroyer escort, and I picked it up in Miami, Florida. And everything went downhill from there. I started out as a boat major to the deck. Go off the deck, chip and they paint, and they take care of the lines and all that. And then I transferred over to the Ordnance Division when I was a gunner's mate. Ordnance Division, they took care of all the ordnance. They handled the ammunition, they took care of the guns, they took care of the torpedoes when we had them, they took care of the depth charges, so we had to handle all that. My job was first to take care of the 3-inch 50 gun. That was the main batteries on the ship. And the next one I got was a 40 millimeter. And then I got assigned to a nest of 20 millimeter. So I knew a little bit about all of them. It really comes big in later life. We've seen lots of 350 into the Azores, and we went to New York, and we went up into Boston. And from Boston we went up into Iceland, Newfoundland, and we come back down. We went into Norfolk, and then we left Norfolk and went to North Africa. When Roosevelt went to Casablanca, we picked him up at Annapolis. We escorted him down the Potomac River to the Chesapeake Bay, and then we took him out where the big ships would come in and pick him up, and it was a hard one. It was a big, heavy cruiser. And we put him aboard there. I was standing from here when they took him aboard to Baltimore, and they took him into Casablanca. He wasn't in very good shape. He looked like death rolled over. I think Algiers too, Sicily too. I've been to your country too. It was Naples. I'll bet you Naples didn't look like it did then when it does now. They destroyed Naples. Into Italy, we come back from there, and then I went up in the English Channel just about the time of D-Day. We got into a little bit of that. Then we come over, and I got to go into the Canal of England, and I'm the only one in the family that's seen my grandmother.
July 6, 1945. Press release from the Secretary of the Navy. Heroic action saves tanker after collision off East Coast. The tanker SS St. Mihiel is afloat today, ready once again to carry her vital gasoline supply to distant battle zones because of the recent heroic effort of 2 destroyer escorts of the Atlantic Fleet, the USS Stewart and the USS Etzel. Rammed by another tanker a few hundred miles off the East Coast last April 10th, the St. Mihiel was damaged amidships and instantly set aflame from bow to stern. 6 million gallons of high-octane gasoline provided fuel for the raging inferno. 32 men died before reaching the safety of life rafts and boats. The tanker was unmanned and ablaze from stem to stern when the first destroyer escort to reach the scene, the USS Stewart, came alongside. She was under the command of Lieutenant Commander Alvin Chesley Wilson, Jr. Firefighting crews on the Stewart poured streams of water on the blazing ship. From the port side, they beat down the flame so men could board her with chemical foam apparatus and every piece of firefighting equipment that was portable aboard. The fire had been brought under control when the USS Etzel arrived. They relieved the begrimed, exhausted men from the Stewart, and with the remainder of the St. Mihiel's crew safely brought the battered, slow-moving ship through the fog-shrouded, crowded channel leading to a safe anchorage in New York, while the USS Stewart escorted the SS Nashbuck into the harbor.
Well, we went over to the Pacific. We was at Pearl Harbor, and we was just getting ready to go out and do a picket with the Baltimore. And, well, the picket ship's the one that goes way out in front of the other ship. And when the other ones come in, well, they're supposed to tell you when the planes are coming in. And the picket ships were very vulnerable. That's when the kamikaze got the first one beat them, the picket ships. Anyway, we got there and we learned to cooperate with this carrier. We come into one night Pearl Harbor and we're sitting there, and all of a sudden the sky lit up and everything was booming and blasting away, and so I think the war was over. 2 days later, we picked up about 25 to 30 Air Force men and we headed back home.
Richard Quick Kevern, to you who answered the call of your country and served in its armed forces to bring about the total defeat of the enemy, I extend the heartfelt thanks of a grateful nation. As one of the nation's finest, you undertook the most severe task one can be called upon to perform. Because you demonstrated the fortitude, resourcefulness, and calm judgment necessary to carry out that task, we now look to you for leadership and example in further exalting our country in peace. Harry Truman.
The United States of America honors the memory of Richard Quick Kevern. This certificate is awarded by a grateful nation in recognition of devoted and selfless consecration to the service of our country in the armed forces of the United States. President George W. Bush.
What advice would you give to young kids that are teenagers right now about things they need to either do or not to do that you'd ought to suggest? Words of wisdom.
Well, the only thing I'd do over different is the minute I got out of service, they're smart, I'd have went to work at Hill Field or Dugway. Then I'd have had a retirement and benefits that the work I was in didn't have none of that. That's what the kids have got to look for nowadays.
So choose your career carefully.
Yeah, and you can't be afraid to work. Another thing you got to do is you got to like what you're doing, or you just will forget it. I didn't like carpenter work at first, but after I got into it and started finishing the house now, then got interested. But it still would have been like first. I'd have liked to go to an auto mechanic. Marion didn't like it because I got a little greasy.
Well, that was in for that tire company. You didn't get greasy, you put more black now.
But you can't be afraid of work. You got to work. I don't care what it is. You got to work, but you got to like it.